The Day of the African Child celebrates the children of Africa and calls for a serious introspection and commitment towards addressing the numerous challenges being faced by children across the continent. The African Committee of Experts on the Rights and Welfare of the Child has selected the theme Leave No Child Behind for Africa's Development to commemorate the Day of the African Child 2018. According to statistics, almost half of the continent's population is under the age of 18 years. Yet, many children are left behind either directly or indirectly in health, education, protection, and empowerment. As such, the civil society, human rights institutions, and the committee has placed children as a high priority in their agendas.
The Day of the African Child is important for the Graça Machel Trust because it's really a day to celebrate and acknowledge the importance of children. For us, it's a day to reflect on how far we have come as a continent in protecting and affirming the rights of children. It's also a day to reflect on how important children are in our lives and how we value children and how we recognize that the future of this continent can only be as bright as the future of its children.
It's a day when we emphasize the role that governments and regional mechanisms need to put into place to protect children. Since we're a child rights organization and we protect children, this day is a day that we use to emphasize to the rest of the world the role that different governments, different mechanisms such as the committee, the AU, are supposed to play in terms of protecting children.
This is particularly important in the context of the Day of the African Child 2018, which seeks to highlight the need to target children who are not benefiting from Africa's growth and development, such as children with disabilities, children without parental care, intersex children, children affected by armed conflict, and children in rural areas.
The reason we started this campaign together with our partners, Save the Children and Mtoto News, was because we felt that there wasn't sufficient recognition, really, of the mechanisms to protect children, and there wasn't sufficient education and understanding of how to utilize those mechanisms to protect the rights of children. We also feel that children themselves, who are, the victims at the end of the day, are not the ones who have a full understanding of how to utilize these mechanisms to protect themselves and to make these violations known.
We raised concerns about the situation of children in South Sudan in 2017. Due to the ongoing conflict in Southern Sudan, children are being negatively affected. And the committee was able to take that up with the state party, and they have been able to follow up and see whether any child rights violations are occurring.
NHRI, through the Human Rights Education Department, have a mandate to educate right claimants on what their rights are, what are the mechanisms of lodging comments, and they're also tasked with investigating and providing appropriate redress to the complainants.
La Commission nationale des droits de l'homme est un organisme indépendant qui veille à la promotion et à la protection et à la défense des droits de l'homme en général en Côte d'Ivoire. Aussi, dans son organisation, la Commission nationale des droits de l'homme a 3 organes. Il y a le bureau, l'Assemblée générale, le bureau exécutif et le secrétariat général. Elle fonctionne avec 4 sous-commissions thématiques. Voici ce que je peux dire brièvement de la Commission nationale des droits de l'homme de Côte d'Ivoire.
The Zambia Human Rights Commission is mandated to ensure that fundamental rights and freedoms under the Bill of Rights are upheld. And to this effect, the Commission conducts investigations relating to human rights violations.
The Kenya National Commission on Human Rights is a constitutional commission established under Article 59 of the Constitution to promote a culture of human rights and freedoms in Kenya.
The engagement with child rights focused organization is important as collaborative efforts are more impactful in increasing the protection space for children in Africa. And also it goes a long way in ensuring domestication of the African Charter of the Rights and Welfare of the Child. Working together with CSOs, they can support each other in terms of technical capacity and also widening the scope of the work.
The Civil Society Forum is made up of 5 regional coalitions, one in Southern Africa represented by myself, which is the Child Rights Network for Southern Africa. Then we have the East Africa Child Rights Network as well. Then we have the Central Africa Network and the West Africa Network, which is still finding its feet, as well as the Northern Africa Network. So when these come together at Pan-African level, that's what we call the Civil Society Forum on the African Charter.
We have an opportunity as the ESCRN to engage with other CSOs on the continent through the CSO Forum on the Rights and Welfare of the Child.
Le REDEAC est un réseau régional des associations et des ONG nationaux pour les droits de l'enfant d'Afrique centrale créé en 2016. Et le REDEAC a pour vision de voir une Afrique centrale où les droits de l'enfant sont respectés et protégés, en favorisant également les pratiques et les politiques qui respectent les droits et le bien-être de l'enfant grâce aux réseaux nationaux de défense des droits de l'enfant.
This campaign is coming at a time when Save the Children is also launching a report on our Stolen Childhood Report. This report also articulates some of the negative impact that we've seen on children. So during this time, it's a time that we want to emphasize and also tell the rest of the world that it is important that children are protected. Africa, for example, has most of the children who are stunted. And the report clearly stipulates that in the coming years, we will find that by 2025, half of the stunted population in the world will be residing in Africa. The report also shows that a number of children are suffering from harmful labor practices, and that's in Africa. That continues to rise. It is important at this particular time that we also join in this campaign to ensure that we end abuses towards children.
Well, I think the African child has many faces. Some of them, as I said, faces of deprivation. The African child is the child soldier who is against, his or her will, forced to engage in conflict, in conflicts that they had nothing to do with, starting. The African child is the girl child who is forced to drop out of school, as I said, because of practices like ending early marriage.
Comme toute organisation de défense des droits de l'enfant, le REDEAC avait participé activement à l'appel au gouvernement du Soudan pour la clémence pour la fille Noura Hussein, qui est une victime de la pratique néfaste du mariage des enfants et du viol, à travers des différentes actions de plaidoyer que nous avons menées à travers le continent auprès du gouvernement soudanais, et à travers également notre participation à des différentes pétitions qui ont été lancées à cet effet.
Dans la mesure où le conflit en lui-même déconstruit ce qui est déjà construit, c'est-à-dire que lorsqu'il y a un conflit armé, il n'y a plus d'école, donc violation du droit à l'éducation, il n'y a plus d'hôpital, violation du droit à l'éducation, l'enfant n'arrive plus à manger et à être dans les conditions optimales pour son développement. Donc nécessairement, il y a violation lorsqu'il y a un conflit armé.
Many children who are born intersex have been subjected to unnecessary surgeries to correct and normalize them to be boys or to be girls. Many of those surgeries have made it worse for those children, and because a lot of the children are subjected to these surgeries before their puberty, then when their puberty starts and they were normalized to be a boy or normalized to be a girl in terms of their sex, and then they become in their puberty what they were not, then there's a lot of confusion, and you find many of these children want to commit suicide, are depressed, are confused, their families are shattered because they can't deal with that health.
Children should be viewed as agents of change and not merely as subjects of protection, especially concerning the realization of the Sustainable Development Goals. Moving through their particular experiences is a story that we should all accept as meaningful, especially in the context of the Day of the African Child.
So how have you been doing that as a CSO Forum? It's one of the challenges that we have been having because the CSO Forum is at Pan-African level. We cannot at Pan-African level be able to engage with children who are at national level. Therefore, it comes back to one of the things that we always say, The CSO Forum is as strong as the regional child rights networks, which are as strong as the national child rights networks. And the national child rights networks are as strong as the members support them. So if at a national level there are no systematic platforms for the participation of children, naturally it means that Pan-African level are not likely to have systematic platforms for the participation of children. So we have not been doing well in that regard. That's one of our priority areas in making sure that at national level we have mechanisms to strengthen the participation of children.
A participação da criança cá tem sido efetiva, tem sido certa na totalidade, porque praticamente a rede da criança, em qualquer questões ligadas à criança, tem lá sempre uma criança a representar, tem lá sempre um grupo de crianças, no entanto, que está a representar. E conseguimos ver que mesmo no processo de tomada de decisão, a criança tem lá algum tipo de voz.
Recolho informações de abusos sexuais contra menores e violação doméstica.
E o que é que fazem com essa informação?
Com a informação nós levamos, publicamos no nosso jornal, com esse jornal com o nome da A Voz da Criança.
Ok, e depois essa informação, quem é que lê essa informação e o que é que acontece depois das pessoas terem acesso a essa informação?
Quando as pessoas lêem a informação, têm mais conhecimento do que fazem, ou do que faziam, ou as suas atitudes, tentam melhorar e procuram entender mais e apelar às crianças a não fazer coisas agressivas nesse caso.
Dans la mise en œuvre de nos activités, le REDEAC met toujours les enfants au centre de nos actions à travers la promotion de leur participation et la prise en compte de leur opinion dans toutes nos activités ainsi que nos programmes. C'est dans ce contexte qu'au niveau de l'Afrique centrale, la plateforme YouReport a été mise en place au Tchad, en République centrafricaine et au Cameroun pour promouvoir la participation des enfants, des adolescents et des jeunes dans la mise en œuvre des programmes et de faire également remonter leur opinion auprès des autorités politiques et administratives pour pouvoir prendre en compte leur point de vue. Et ce projet a été développé dans le cadre d'un partenariat public-privé.
Lutado contra os casamentos prematuros, é bem sabido que a Rede da Criança, como sendo membro da CECAP, Coligação contra os Casamentos Prematuros, nós também como criança temos estado lá praticamente a participar para dizer não, porque o sentimento é mesmo por parte de nós crianças.
Through the adoption of a child-centered approach to sustainable development by civil society, human rights institutions and the committee, children's rights are highlighted as the central point around which state action towards development should revolve.
Our call to action is also multifaceted. First and foremost, we want to see more children involved in the work of the committee. We want to see more children involved in drafting policies. We want to see more children involved in actually talking about, are these policies in fact improving their lives?
We do not want our children to experience the same kind of political turmoil, the same kind of poverty that our parents grew up in. So we need to ensure that we leave no children behind.
The Committee of Experts in NHRIs in Africa can come together and have the first conference where we have NHRIs working with children who are born intersex to be the participants in that conference.
It's not only about participation. Participation is minimalistic in our consideration. Minimalistic in that it's just participating, whether at whatever level. But when you're talking about consideration or hearing and respecting the views of the child, it's going beyond participation through dramaturgs or making a poem or something like that. It's about making sure that their voice is heard in the decision making.
When you're disabled, it does not mean that you can't function like how a normal person does. So I think when you're disabled, it's like a lesson, like to it's like a lesson to other people, because for me I've seen people with disability, and yes, they have so many talents. Some are able to sing, some are able to draw.
Le comité devrait avoir une approche complète et intégrée de la question du mariage des enfants en Afrique. Les comités économiques régionaux africains devraient intégrer également le mariage des enfants dans leur stratégie de développement.
To member states that have not ratified the African Charter of the Child, we request that you turn to your NHRIs for guidance and advice on the process of ratifying the Charter. For member states that have ratified the Charter, please work with your NHRIs in the process of domestication to ensure that the child is not left behind in development.
Children should be involved in development activities, both as agents of development and as beneficiaries of development.
The schools in Africa are disability friendly, so that all of us are given equal opportunity to go to school and show our potential.
The Day of the African Child is concrete proof of how urgent it is to preventing and reversing the damages that have been inflicted on our children. Leaving children behind is a challenge faced by many African countries. It is in fact a challenge of the world as a whole. Human rights institutions and civil society through the African Committee of Experts on the Rights and Welfare of the Child have reaffirmed that focusing on children is the main driver of Africa's sustainable development.
On behalf of the Graça Machel Trust and Save the Children, we'd like to thank all our partners and all the children who participated in making this documentary. We sincerely hope it'll touch the hearts and minds of millions of people across this continent, and will really change the way we value and protect our children.